Today we are going to be discussing slope. The essential question, why are graphs helpful? Vocabulary, slope, rise, and run. Let's start with the vocabulary startup. The term slope is used to describe the steepness of a straight line. Slope is the ratio of the rise or vertical change to the run horizontal change. Let's complete the graphic organizer. The word slope. I think this word means downward or slant. How is this concept related to other math concepts? It is a ratio. Where have I heard this word in my life? Maybe to describe a roof or hillside? What makes this an important word for me to know? So I can describe the steepness of a straight line. The real world link. A ride in an amusement park rises 8 feet every horizontal change of 2 feet. How could you determine the slope of the ride? Well, we could write the ratio of the rise to run, or 8 feet to 2 feet. Writing that as a ratio, that simplifies down to 4. Find slope using a graph or table. Slope is a rate of change. It can be positive, slanting upward, or negative, slanting downward. Slope equals rise divided by run. Rise is the vertical change between any 2 points. Run is the horizontal change between the same 2 points. Another way to remember rise divided by run, and which values are in the numerator versus the denominator, is spelling rise with a Y, and then divided by run. Rise indicates the values that go up or down. Run indicates values that go right or left. So let's look at our example 1. Find the slope of the treadmill. So we see that the treadmill is rising up 10 inches, and it has a run of 48 inches. So this is 10 inches, and this distance is 48 inches. So if I use the idea or the formula for slope as being the rise divided by the run, well, a treadmill rises up 10, as we can see over here, and it goes to the right 48, so that's our run. So 10 divided by 48. And we can simplify 10 and 48 by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. 48 divided by 2 gives us 24. 5/24. That's in simplest form. So that means that the slope of the treadmill is 5/24. Got it? Let's do this problem to find out. Letter A. A hiking trail rises 6 feet for every horizontal change of 100 feet. What is the slope of the hiking trail? Well, we have our rise. divided by our run. Our rise value is 6 feet, divided by a run value of 100 feet. Let's reduce both of these by 2. 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. 100 divided by 2 gives us 50. So what is the slope of the hiking trail? 30 divided by 50. Examples. Number 2. The graph shows the cost of muffins at a bake sale. Find the slope of the line. When you are using a graph, you want to choose 2 points on the line. So in this case, they have chosen 2, 4, and 3, 6. So 2, 4, and 3, 6. The vertical change is 2 units, and the horizontal change is 1 unit. Well, to show the vertical and horizontal changes, I'm going to start by referring to my verticals, which is 4 and 6, and my horizontals, which is 2 and 3. So when I take my rise divided by my run, my rise is 6 minus 4, and that equals 2. I'm going to divide this by my run, which is 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2 reduces down to 1. It is extremely important that you subtract in the same order, meaning if I take 6 minus 4, then for my x values, I have to do 3 minus 2. So going back to the problem on the right, it says the slope of the line is 2 divided by 1 or 2. So you could have your answer written either way. So when you're translating rise and run, if you were going up, then that's a positive value. If you were going down, that's a negative value. Right is positive, left is negative. Number 3. The table shows the number of pages Garrett has left to read after a certain number of minutes. The points lie on a line. Find the slope of the line. So we're first going to choose any 2 points from the table to find the changes in the x and y values. In this case, they choose the points 112 and 39. I'm going to write those as an ordered pair to the left. 112 and 39. So we have our slope is our rise divided by our run. So the change in y divided by the change in x. So I want to go and define my y terms, which is 9 and 12. And then I want to define my x terms, 3 and 1. I'm going to subtract my y values. 9 minus 12 divided by 3 minus 1. So I subtracted my x values in the denominator. Again, you want to subtract in the same order. If I go with my second y value minus my first y value, then I have to divide it by my second x value minus my first x value. So 9 minus 12 is negative 3, divided by 2 minus 1, divided by 3 minus 1 is 2. So that means that my slope is negative 3 halves. When you solve for slope, leave it as a fraction. Leave it as a ratio. To the right, it says slope. In linear relationships, no matter which 2 points you choose, the slope or rate of change of the line is always constant. So that means that if I chose 2 other values in the table on the right, such as 7.3 or even 5.6, my slope is going to be exactly the same. So this next part, to check, choose two different points from the table and find the slope. So in this case, they chose the points 7.3 and 5.6. So I have my x values and I have my y values. I'm going to start by subtracting my y values because that is going to be my rise. So slope equals rise divided by run. So for my rise values, 6 minus 3 divided by 5 minus 7. So again, I took my second y value minus my first in the numerator. In the denominator, I did my second x value minus my first x value. That equals 6 minus 3 is 3, divided by 5 minus 7 is negative 2. You could also have it written where you have the negative out in front. That gives me negative 3/2. If you were to compare both of these ratios are identical. Got it? We're going to do these problems to find out. Letter B. Find the slope of each line. So I'm going to take this point, negative 2, negative 1, and the point 2, 2. And I'm going to find the slope. So slope equals rise divided by run. Here are my y values, negative 1 and 2. Then I have my x values of negative 2 and 2. So I'm going to take my second y value of 2 and subtract it from my first. So 2 minus negative 1 divided by my second x, which is 2, minus negative 2, which is my first x value. Well, when I have a minus and negative, I'm actually going to change that to adding the opposite, so I make it into plus 1. Same thing in the denominator. I add, make it a plus 2. So this simplifies down to 2 plus 1 is 3, divided by 2 plus 2 is 4. So for letter B, you have 3/4 as the slope. Put that on the right side. For letter C, we're going to find the slope of each line by choosing two different points. So I'm going to start with negative 6, negative 2. And I'll go with negative 2, negative 1. Again, just like we had learned in the example problem before, it doesn't matter which 2 points you choose, just as long as they are in this table. Okay, so my x values are negative 6 and negative 2. My y values are negative 2 and negative 1. So I have my slope, which equals rise divided by my run. So I'm going to find my change in y values. Take my second y value minus my first y value. So negative 1 minus negative 2 divided by my second x value minus my first x value. Because there is subtraction, I'm going to add and make it the opposite, so it's plus 2. Add and make it the opposite, so it's plus 6. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Divided by negative 2 plus 6 is 4. So that means my slope is 1/4. Continuing, we have a key concept right here. Slope formula. Words. The slope m of a line passing through the points x1, y1 and x2, y2 is the ratio of the difference in the y-coordinates to the corresponding difference in the x-coordinates. So if we were to write this in symbols, m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Our x values cannot equal each other. That is because you can't divide by 0. So we have a model to the right side. This is a negative slope because the graph is decreasing from left to right. You'll notice that we have x1, y1 as the top point, and the bottom point is x2, y2. It does not matter which point you define as x1, y1 and x2, y2. However, the coordinates of both points must be used in the same order. So that's what we've been doing up until this point. We just haven't used this formula. So let's try solving the next problem using this formula. Example 4. Find the slope of the line that passes through R 1, 2, S negative 4, 3. I'm going to write the points over to the right. 1, 2, and negative 4, 3. I'm going to label each of my points to help me put it into the slope formula. So I'm going to label this first point x1, y1. Those are not commas. Those are the number 1. And then the second point I'm going to label as x2, y2. I like to label my first one with the 1s and my second one with the 2s. Now if I use the slope formula, I have the letter m. M represents the word slope. So if it helps, up here I'll write m equals slope. So every time you see the variable m in these types of problems, that represents your slope. So slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I'm going to use my highlighter to help me see what values go where. So the first one I want to put in is my y2 value, which here's my y2, and that's represented with the number 3. Then I'll want to use my y1 value. So my y1 value is up here with the number 2. In the denominator, I have an x2, which my x2 that's labeled as a negative 4. And then I have my y1 value. So I'm going to plug in my numbers. y2 is 3 minus my y1 value is 2 divided by x2 is represented by negative 4 minus my x1 is 1. This equals 3 minus 2, which is 1, divided by negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. So you can have it as 1 divided by negative 5, or you can bring the negative out in front and say it's negative 1/5. Both of these are appropriate answers. So we're going to do the got it section with the next two problems. Letter D. We have the points 2, 2 and 5, 3. We'll label the first point x1, comma, y1. Then the second ordered pairs, I'm going to do x2, comma, y2. So slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. You'll notice I will write this every single time to help me remember what the formula is. So y2 is 3. My y1 value is 2. My x2 value is 5. And my x1 value is 2. I'm using these colors to help me with where to place each of the values. So 3 minus 2, because y2 minus y1. 3 minus 2 divided by x2 minus x1, which is 5 minus 2. When simplifying, 3 minus 2 is 1, divided by 5 minus 2 is 3. So my slope equals 1/3. So instead of saying m equals 1/3, I'm saying slope equals 1/3. Let's try letter E. J is at -7, -4. K is at -3, -2. Let's label these points. x1, comma, y1, and then x2, comma, y2. Whichever way you want to write this is up to you. Again, I'm always going to put my first ordered pairs as x1, y1, and my second ordered pair as x2, y2. Let's write the slope formula again. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. If the highlighting helps, continue doing the highlighting. If it doesn't, then you don't need to. So my y2 value is a -2, minus my y1 value, which is a -4, divided by x2 is -3, minus x1, so that's minus -7. Because it's subtraction, I want to add the opposite and make it into a positive. Add the opposite, and I make it into a positive. This reduces for the numerator down to -2 plus 4, which is 2, divided by the denominator, -3 plus 7 equals 4. 2 fourths can then be reduced down to 1/2. Again, keep your slope as 1/2. Keep your slope as a fraction instead of making it into a decimal. Okay, now you're going to go on and try your own work.